Historians, scholars, and conspiracy theorists have been intrigued by the Vatican Library, an ancient and mysterious repository of knowledge, for centuries. This sacred institution, located in the heart of Vatican City, has been a treasure house of divine knowledge for centuries. But there are others who are convinced there are more sinister and darker secrets within its soaring shelves and marble halls than any sacred book. What are the Vatican Library's secrets? The Vatican Library is anything but an information depot, as can be realized from its huge repository of divine manuscripts and its forbidden and mystical books. It holds within it the secrets of the cosmos, humankind, and spirituality. Apart from ancient manuscripts, it has amassed occult philosophy, lost literature, and esoteric knowledge for centuries, which have the potential to change our understanding of the past. What, therefore, is so intriguing about this library? Why have the Vatican reserved some of its most important documents from the masses? What facts have been knowingly concealed? What secrets does it keep regarding the forces? Even though the Vatican Library was founded in the 15th century, it has legends and history going much further back than that. The library became a representation of power, authority, and knowledge throughout the centuries. It created thousands of theories and myths because of its carefully selected collections and limited access. Truth seekers and mystery enthusiasts around the world have been captivated for centuries by whispers of forbidden books, esoteric wisdom, and secret literature. There are those who opine that the documents which would alter human history and disclose information that would question the foundation assumptions of science and religion lie in its vaults. Others claim that to retain control over spiritual knowledge and theological ideas, the Vatican has deliberately hidden some documents. Is the Vatican Library just a haven for academic activity, or are these claims realistic? Is the Vatican concealing human existence? We will explore the vaults of the Vatican Library in this video to discover its history, secret collections, forbidden books, and cryptic beliefs regarding its contents. In our quest, we will try to decipher the power in the lines of its ancient manuscripts and excavate the secrets that have been buried for centuries. The question is, what does the Vatican Library actually hide, and how does it affect our worldview? The history and origins of the Vatican Library. As it stands now, the Vatican Library is a massive complex, housing some of the world's most precious and oldest manuscripts. But in the 15th century, it was tiny, well before the concept of a centralized library, such as the one we have today. Before we can even get to its secrets in their entirety, we first need to look at how the Vatican Library came to be and how it developed over the years. The origins, a vision of the Pope. Pope Nicholas V, who ruled between 1447 and 1455, is most typically credited with establishing the basis of the Vatican Library. Nicholas V had a vision for a magnificent library that would nurture and preserve scholarship in general, but Christian theology, ancient learning, and the arts in particular. His aspiration to build an accumulation of knowledge was born out of the Renaissance's thirst for knowledge and to rekindle the classical virtues of yore. Pope Nicholas V commissioned a permanent manuscript repository in 1451 that opened up the Vatican Library. They possessed early Christian manuscripts and other classics in this category. Nicholas V's desire to gather the intellectual legacy of the ancient world encouraged him to acquire works from all over Europe. In order to acquire manuscripts, books, and ancient texts, including some that were being excavated during the Renaissance, he dispatched agents and scholars. He wanted all the information collected, and for the Vatican Library to be the place of intellectualism and study in the coming centuries. The Vatican's function in the Middle Ages. The Vatican Library's significance gradually increased over the ages, particularly when the Catholic Church started to establish its supremacy in Europe's intellectual and cultural arenas. The Vatican served as a center of study as well as spirituality during the Middle Ages. More and more scientific and religious works, as well as manuscripts from around the globe, were added to the library's collection. Yet the growth of the library was determined by more than merely the interests of the Church. Also, the Vatican began collecting secular writings, including those of early scientists, Roman historians, and Greek philosophers. The Church took over custody of knowledge once only available to a select few, due to its central position in reading and learning. The Vatican Library was both a repository of sacred texts and a sign of authority due to the monopoly on education held by the Church. The Vatican Library expanded over time as new popes contributed to its collection. Pope Sixtus IV, who reigned from 1471 to 1484, was particularly instrumental in the establishment of the library. The library was well organized under his pontificate, with special zones reserved for the manuscripts and a catalog system established. The position of the Vatican Library as a preeminent center of knowledge within Europe was further reinforced under Sixtus IV's management of the increased acquisition of books, specifically in matters related to theology and scientific inquiry. The Renaissance and later years of the Vatican Library. The Vatican Library underwent great transformation during the Renaissance. Besides classical and theological texts, the Vatican Library began to include scientific and philosophical works that were being rediscovered during the Renaissance in its collection as humanism and the quest for ancient knowledge gained momentum. Scholars like Copernicus, Galileo, and Kepler challenged the Church's understanding of the universe at this time, and the Vatican Library began to house not just religious works, but also controversial and pioneering writings. Eastern Orthodox Church and Byzantine manuscripts also started arriving in the Vatican Library at around this time. The library was in a position to save historical information that could have otherwise been lost to history due to the decline of the Roman Empire, which brought numerous important Greek books that had been saved in the East to the Vatican. The Vatican Library continued to be an instrument of the power of the Church, even after the intellectual growth of the Renaissance, judiciously choosing what was to be kept secret and what was to be made public. The Church began compiling its Index Librorum Prohibitorum, a catalog of books and works that were heretical, offensive, or contrary to Catholic doctrine during this period. The index's creation made the Vatican Library a stronger knowledge control agency by ensuring that only specific ideas were allowed to spread while others were forbidden. The Vatican Library and its role in the modern age. Throughout the modern age, the Vatican Library has also expanded and evolved. The development of the printing press in the 16th century multiplied the number of books published exponentially, and the Vatican Library was a key institution in ensuring that publications were in line with Church doctrine. The library has expanded over time to be more than a library of books. It is now a symbol of the authority of the Vatican over spirituality and knowledge. It has also become an exacting instrument for historians, preserving sacred texts and manuscripts that would otherwise have been lost to the ravages of time. The Vatican Library of today continues to function as a custodian of knowledge, with its holdings now including over 75,000 manuscripts, 1.1 million printed volumes, and well over 150,000 ancient and rare books. The library houses an enormous collection of ancient historical documents, scientific papers, and religious texts going back thousands of years of human history. Nevertheless, even as its collection is enormous, the library is very inaccessible, the privilege of research being reserved for a select number of scholars only. The Vatican Library's ancient history as a keeper of knowledge and its connection to the authority of the Catholic Church remains problematic. What books, texts, and manuscripts are concealed? What human history secrets lie within its walls? And most importantly, how does the Vatican Library influence our knowledge of the past, the present, and the future? The secrets within. Forbidden books and lost texts. The Vatican Library, even as a treasure house of knowledge, has always been associated with the concept of secrecy. It is generally assumed that certain books and manuscripts stored in its walls are forbidden or secret to the outside world. This idea, fueled by conspiracy and history, has led people to wonder if the Vatican is concealing a library of forbidden books, books that can potentially alter our perception of history, religion, and even the origin of humankind. In order to uncover these secrets, we must delve into the history of the Vatican's most secretive and controversial books. The concept of forbidden knowledge. Throughout history, the concept of forbidden knowledge has captivated the human imagination. There has always existed a sense of intrigue about books, ideas, or writings that were deemed too dangerous for the masses to know. The Vatican, as the center of Catholic authority, has typically found itself at the epicenter of such controversies. The Catholic Church has historically held that its wardship role of faith and truth would have to extend to its role in overseeing the transmission of information. Since time immemorial, the Vatican Library is supposed to house a collection of documents that are too inflammatory, too heretical, or even too sensitive for everybody to read. Some of them were believed to be in contrast with the doctrines of the Church, and the others supposedly contained hidden truths regarding the ancient civilizations, forbidden knowledge, and even divine mysteries. The existence of forbidden books within the Vatican Library is no figment of one's imagination. The Church has had a long history of attempting to control the dissemination of information. One of the most famous is the Index Librorum Prohibitorum, or list of books prohibited by the Catholic Church. The index, begun formally in 1559, included works which were deemed heretical, immoral, or counter to the doctrine of the Church. Although the index ended in 1966, its legacy remains even today in the secrecy of some books contained within the Vatican Library. The books that changed history, the lost Gospels and apocryphal works. The most widely read collection of forbidden books in the Vatican Library are the lost Gospels and apocryphal writings, books excluded from the accepted biblical canon. The canonical Gospels, i.e. Matthew's, Mark's, Luke's, and John's, have remained intact and are sanctioned by the Catholic Church as the true accounts of Jesus Christ's life. Yet many other Gospels that early Christians held to be as authoritative as the four above have been left out of the Bible. Some of these lost Gospels, such as the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary, and the Gospel of Judas, provide a contrasting perspective on the life of Jesus, his teachings, and his disciples. These writings hold the teachings of Jesus in conflict with the mainstream Christian account, and in certain instances, in contradiction to the teachings of the Church. The Gospel of Thomas, for instance, contains a series of sayings of Jesus, some of which stress individual spiritual awareness and the concept of inner awakening. The Gospel of Judas is a second controversial book attributed to the Vatican Library. This Gospel characterizes Judas Iscariot as a non-betrayer, but rather as the only disciple who had a close understanding of Jesus' divinely ordained mission. The Church's suppression of such Gospels has promoted the image that the Vatican is hiding something about the early Christian era, something that would revise or nullify the existing faith. Outside the Gospels, the Vatican Library also holds a number of apocryphal texts, books that were excluded from the Bible for lack of authenticity or because their theology was in doubt. These texts, such as the Book of Enoch or the Apocalypse of Peter, deal with the realms of prophecy, divine revelation, and God's nature. They offer an alternative perspective of the spiritual cosmos, one which is frequently at odds with Orthodox Christian theology. It is believed by some scholars that the suppression of these writings by the Vatican is only one aspect of an overall effort to maintain church control over religious understanding and keep the official form of Christianity unblemished. The secrecy in which these works have been surrounded has created an atmosphere of thought where they are seen to contain profound truths hidden away from humanity for centuries. Esoteric texts. The Vatican's link to mysticism and alchemy. Apart from the Christian Apocrypha, the Vatican Library is reported to hold a vast collection of esoteric texts, books on mysticism, alchemy, and occultism. The Church's history with all these disciplines has been complicated throughout the centuries. Some of the mystics and alchemists were condemned as heretics, while others were revered for their alleged ability to uncover hidden truths about the universe. The Hermetic tradition, for example, is a series of religious and philosophical writings attributed to the mythical Hermes Trismegistus. They cover the nature of existence, spiritual enlightenment, and the nature of human relations with the divine. Most of these writings were not only confidential but were circulated only among an elite few of people, hence the perception that the writings contain profound esoteric information. Alchemy, the medieval art of turning base metals into gold and discovering the elixir of life, was of deep concern to certain members of the Catholic Church as well. Manuscripts in the Vatican Library speak of alchemical theory, as well as the spiritual and philosophical aspects of the practice. Alchemy, with its emphasis on self-transformation and the pursuit of enlightenment, has been associated with mysticism and the seeking of esoteric knowledge since ancient times. The Church's connection with these esoteric practices is not limited to Hermeticism and alchemy. Most experts assume that the Vatican Library holds works covering other domains of the occult, such as astrology, divination, and sacred geometry. The Church's own centuries-old interest in these subjects, particularly during the Renaissance, has created the theory that the Vatican is hiding a treasure trove of esoteric information, knowledge that would alter our knowledge of the universe and our position in it forever. The role of Vatican in historical conspiracy. Aside from the secret texts and esoteric writings, others also suspect that the Vatican Library contains data that would dismantle the official history of the Church and the world. This is a claim that the Vatican has made strenuous attempts to cover up information that would negate the official version of history. The idea of a hidden history, one suppressed consciously by the Vatican, has led to millions of conspiracy theories regarding the Church's cover-ups and conspiracy. One of the greatest conspiracies revolves around the ancient relics and artifacts that the Vatican owns. Lost civilizations and secret societies both have caused many to think that the Vatican is concealing evidence of man's real history, evidence that can redefine the history of religion, science, and civilization itself. Whether it is the Holy Grail, lost relics, or pre-Christian writings, Vatican control of these has bred suspicion that the Church is hiding profound secrets from man. What happens in the shadows? The idea that the Vatican Library holds forbidden knowledge is not simply speculation. For centuries, the Vatican has amassed untold manuscripts, texts, and artifacts that provide alternative viewpoints of history, religion, and reality. Either by suppressing specific gospels, the exclusion of apocryphal literature, or the concealment of esoteric wisdom, the Vatican has played a central role in the control of knowledge. But as we continue to burrow deeper in the Vatican Library's secret corridors, what is the Vatican concealing? There have been so many secrets and mysteries concealed from the world for centuries. Why are they being withheld? These ancient manuscripts and books might reveal something about reality other than what we know, a reality that questions all the pillars of faith, history, and our concept of the universe. Theories and conspiracies. What is the Vatican hiding? The mysteries of the Vatican Library are not just founded on the spiritual and historical significance of the documents that lie inside. Over the centuries, several theories and conspiracies have emerged that suggest the Vatican is hiding a lot more than missing gospels and ancient texts. From secretive political agendas to clandestine alien encounters, the Vatican has found itself in the midst of most questioning and speculation. Here we examine some of the most captivating and bewildering conspiracies concerning the Vatican Library and the possible reasons for which the Catholic Church is hiding hidden facts from the world. The Vatican and the secret agenda, power and control. Perhaps the most popularly talked about conspiracy is that of Vatican control of information and the upholding of world domination. Through the centuries, the Catholic Church has exercised unprecedented control over European politics, social organization, and world affairs. Throughout the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and beyond, the Church has exerted the controlling hand in the direction of human history. The majority of theorists opine that the Vatican's secrecy is not only religious leadership, but to protect its seat of power and control. The Vatican Library is rumored by some to contain not only religious manuscripts, but also secret documents that are able to reveal the totality of the Church's interference in world history. These documents may have the Vatican's histories of involvement in political plots, manipulation of monarchs, and even shaping the course of entire countries. The Vatican is accused by the conspiracy theorists of concealing the records of historical events that were deliberately fabricated to uphold the Church's superiority. One of the most common examples given is that of the Church's involvement in the Crusades, which were characterized by a series of Pope-sanctioned wars of conquest. While these were presented as religious wars for the recapture of the Holy Land, there are suspicions others hold that the Vatican had darker, more practical reasons behind them. The Vatican Library, it is claimed, could contain papers which would uncover the real reasons why these wars have been fought, such as economic motives, expansionism, and accumulation of power. Moreover, conspiracy theorists cite the Church's control over major world developments like the Renaissance, the Age of Exploration, and even the Reformation. Most believe that the Vatican has been controlling history all this time, utilizing its huge wealth and international presence to control people's minds and manage information dissemination. The lost secrets of the Templars and the Vatican's hidden knowledge. One of the most compelling and enduring conspiracies that are associated with the Vatican Library by most people is the connection between the Knights Templar and the Catholic Church. Medieval military orders, like the Crusades, have been associated with extensive amounts of money and authority for centuries, and they have been shrouded in mystery through their cryptic traditions. During their time in residence at the Holy Land, the Templars were thought to have discovered a great secret, one so huge that the Church had supposedly tried to cover it up. The Knights Templar are thought by some theorists to have discovered an ancient relic, an artifact that was either the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail. This relic was said to be so profound in its knowledge that the Vatican would be scared it was going to disrupt the authority of the Church. The conspiracy theory states that the Vatican Library contains manuscripts that hold the real history of the discovery of the Templars and other things that they discovered. These books purport to contain mystical wisdom dating back to times past, religious esoteric content, and statistics regarding the Godhead. The muzzling of the Templars' knowledge is said to have been a strategic action by the Vatican to continue its grip on spiritual and political affairs. Since the order was disbanded during the early 14th century, most of the Templars' assets were seized, such as their huge library and fortune. Others, however, believe that the Vatican concealed some of the writings out of public view, just in case their discoveries rock the foundations of Christianity. Aside from the Templar conspiracy, there are other speculations pointing to the possibility that the Vatican has covered up information about vanished civilizations preceding Christianity. There is, for example, the theory that the Vatican Library houses evidence of lost civilizations with higher-level technology, stellar knowledge, and a much deeper understanding of spirituality than humanity understands today. These secrets could potentially challenge our understanding of human history, suggesting that humanity's origins are far more mysterious than we've been led to believe.